Hello and welcome to Nan Loves Food. I am Ann here today with the second meal in the February Prep and Plan with me. And I am so excited. It is a cold winter's day here in Indiana and we are making chicken and wild rice soup. And this meal is gonna come together in no time at all. Super excited to show you. So we used my little trick here and just had this plate on top of our already diced up veg. Since they've only been in there overnight, just using the plate and not like a plastic wrap, it worked just fine. We don't need to waste single waste plastic if we don't have to. So we're gonna get this started. So here I have my instant Dutch oven, instant brand Dutch oven. It is not an instant pot, it is a Dutch oven that has the instant brand name. I really have come to like this thing, especially for my winter soups. We prepped our chicken stock in here when we did the meal prep. And so we have this golden deliciousness ready to go. So this is going to be kind of the base of our soup. We have vegetables, which are just a traditional mirepoix. We have onion, celery, and carrot, which will be delicious. We have chicken breast from a rotisserie chicken, which is also how we made the chicken stock. We used the carcass from the chicken. So all pieces were used, nothing got wasted. Love that. And we actually also have 2 more of these in the freezer. So for meals later, that'll be good to go too. So we're getting this preheated, and we also have some wild rice. Now you can take this soup 100 different directions. This time we're gonna go pretty straightforward, but if you wanna just skip the wild rice and add a can of Rotel, you've got a great tortilla soup. You know, you can add tortillas in there. You can kind of go a lot of different directions with this very humble base, but from here you can do a whole lot. So you don't have to keep it this simple if you don't want to, but you know, there's some joy in simplicity too. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna take a couple of tablespoons of butter. We're gonna get that to a couple of tablespoons of butter melted in the bottom of the pan. We do have the Dutch oven on sear or saute. You certainly do not need one of these to make this soup. Regular stovetop will do just fine. All right, butter is all melted. So it's time to dump in the veg. We're gonna add a little bit of salt to this layer, just to give those veggies a little seasoning. And we're just gonna let these cook down for about 5 minutes. Just want everything to start to kind of cook through. It's amazing how much flavor this step imparts. A while ago, I purchased a product from Instant Brands. It's like a blender that cooks. So the thought was that you could do a bunch of easy pureed soups. And I was like, oh, I'm totally into that. Well, the thing that I didn't realize would make such a big impact. I thought if you just cooked these veg and didn't saute them, that it would be fine, right? Like you just cooked them through. It would give you the same flavor as giving them a saute in a pan. And it does not. I ended up getting rid of that blender, the cooking blender, because the soups would always taste so strange, because allowing this to cook for about 5 minutes just makes all the difference in the world in terms of flavor. Otherwise you get kind of a boiled onion taste, which is not the same as a sauteed in butter onion. This step really, really matters, so don't skip it. Don't think you're gonna, I mean, you can shortcut your way through, but you're not doing your veg justice if you do. So we're just gonna give this about 5 minutes to cook, stirring occasionally. All right, we've got our veg sauteed. As you can see, we're kind of having a party over here. The veg has released quite a bit of liquid, which I'm really happy about, because that's also gonna just flavor this soup so beautifully. We're not cooking until anything is caramelized. We're just getting it so the onions are translucent and the other veg is cooked through. So right now we're gonna add our chicken stock. Now, I'm probably gonna want double this amount of water for this amount of veg, but that's fine. There's a ton of flavor in here, there's a ton of flavor in here, and there's a ton of flavor in here, and the wild rice is gonna bring its own flavor to the party as well. So we're basically gonna double this by just adding water. Based on how that looks in the pot, I think I'm just gonna add another a half a quart. And how soupy you like your soup is really just a matter of preference. I prefer mine a little bit closer to a stew, a little bit thicker, but some people like theirs really brothy, and that's awesome too. So just do what you like. That's the wonderful thing about cooking in your kitchen. This is all customized based on your taste. So I still have this on the sear and saute function, and I'm gonna keep it that way because I do want this stock and water to come to a boil. And we're gonna use that to cook our rice. So once this has come to a boil, we're gonna put as much rice as we want in there. Because we are making soup, the water to rice ratio doesn't really matter, right? We wanna have excess liquid when our rice is done cooking. So you can just kind of sprinkle in as much as you want, or if you wanna measure it, go ahead. Once this is brought to a boil, we'll add the rice in and turn this down to a simmer and let it cook for about 15 minutes. I am not gonna add my chicken yet. Again, this is a personal preference thing, but chicken breast, which is what we're using, can dry out very quickly. And I do not want to cook it any longer than I have to. So for me, at the very, very end, once our rice is done cooking, I will just dump this container in, let it heat through, and then turn off the heat. There will be plenty of residual heat in this pot to warm this chicken up without cooking it anymore. And since it's chicken breast, we really don't want to cook it any more than we have to. It's already cooked through. So we're gonna bring this to a boil. All right, we are definitely boiling. So I'm just gonna throw some rice in there. Not measuring, but probably between 1/2 and 3/4 of a cup. We're gonna give that a stir, and I have turned this down to slow cook, and we're just gonna let it do its thing for about 15 minutes. During that time, I'm gonna preheat my little toaster oven. I found these breads, these little loaves of bread at Costco. They are so yummy. It tastes like fresh French bread, and they're just a really good size, like for our little family. And they only take about 10 minutes in the toaster oven, which is great. They fit in our toaster oven perfectly. And so some fresh bread with a warm bowl of soup. I mean, does it get any better than that? I don't think so. Especially not in February when it's cold. So I'm gonna set the timer for this, throw this in the oven, and dinner will be ready in about 15 minutes. The timer just went off and soup is ready. We're gonna add our chicken in. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and then I'm gonna taste it and make sure it's salty enough. It needed just a little bit more, but we're ready to go. This looks delicious. All right, here we are. All right, let's give this a try. I tell you, one of the things I absolutely love about wild rice soup is the texture of the wild rice. It is so chewy and delicious. Oh my goodness. And so comforting for a warm winter's day. I encourage you, if you haven't made your own chicken stock, give it a go. It's not as intimidating as you think, especially if you do what I did in the prep video, which make sure you're subscribed so you get all of the meals for the February meal prep and plan. And you can head over to nanlovesfood.com/meal prep. If you want to enter your email address in there, we will give you the prep plan, shopping list, step-by-step guide, everything you need to make this entire week of meals, which will keep your family full and warm on these cold winter days. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you being here. Have a good one. Big chunks of chicken.